So hello traders and potential future traders. Patrick Maldonado here, cryptocurrency trader and market analyst at Alpha Chain Capital and founder of TCE Trading. Once again, we have another very special episode as I will be joined by one guest slash student who finished my AB trading course and is now trading his own live account. This is very exciting for me as the work and effort put into the course is starting to be reflected on my students. In today's episode, I will interview Farouk, who was one of my first students at TCE Trading, and we will be talking about his background, his experience at TCE Trading, and more about trading journeys in general. So before I continue, if you are enjoying my content, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and if possible, share it. Doing this helps me a lot, so thank you, and let's start with this podcast. Hey Farouk, how are you? I'm very glad that you are joining my podcast today. We've been talking about for a long time that that we wanted to share some words, have a conversation, and this might be kind of like the first step into potentially doing more content, right? That we've been talking about. So, how are you feeling?
Great, Patrick. Well, thank you for having me on your TCA Trading podcast. As you said previously, we've been speaking about this event happening, and I'm quite happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, I know. We've known from before, and for the audience, what I usually do is kind of like give the background of how we met, how we know each other. It's pretty fun because sometimes when you know someone previously, and then like right now you do kind of this podcast episode or interview. It's a little bit funny, but I mean, our experience. I've already told the listeners that the way I went through my trading journey and how I was really at first like an engineer, then I jumped to different countries, and then I kind of was rejected by the system at one point, and I ended up working in France, which is where I really met we were working at booking.com. And it's very funny because I felt that the mentality that we had was on point in terms of getting numbers and and pushing, and we even make this joke of push it to the limit, right?
Yeah.
Every single time.
Exactly.
So, I think that mentality is very key if you want to start trading. And that's one when you started asking me about trading, I was very interested because that's exactly the mindset that you need. You need a positive mindset in terms of you want to achieve something and exactly push it to the limit. Push yourself to the limit, but also in terms of discipline. So what I really want to do for this episode is really talking more about your experience, because you're kind of like the perfect use case of what it really feels to go through the course. What have you learned? We already know that, you are already kind of like getting benefits in your account, right? You are getting some percentages in there. So I think that would be very, very interesting for people to know, mainly because they can also do this on their own. They can also start learning. And something that I've said is that when you are trading, you don't necessarily need to take a look at I'm gonna trade fully and this is it. I'm gonna leave my job and that's it. You can also have it as something of a secondary income that's gonna be helping you on the side. So you might be working your full-time job, you have your savings account, you're gonna put little by little. The more confidence you get, the more it grows, and so on. So it's kind of like a marathon rather than a sprint. So talking about that, I want to go into some details about your performance, how you've been feeling, maybe some other basic stuff. But I believe that you told me that because you even started demo live account pretty recent. How long has it been since then?
It's been actually I started my live trading on September 2nd, and just recently, actually, it's been maybe 2-3 weeks. I'm in trading with real money, and so far I'm taking things slowly. I try to understand the psychology of trading, the way I behave with the real money, because I believe that when you trade on demo and then when you switch to real money, for some people like me, making decisions can be different. So this is the case for me. I tend to be more cautious with the money on real account, and I try not to enter certain trades where I don't feel it's going to go towards the way I should, towards the way it should be. Therefore, I'm taking things slowly, but so far things are going well with your
Yeah.
help, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean something that I was really happy, because for the people that are listening, I spend a lot of time with my students, right? Like, I mean, just the course
Mm,
is about 10 hours, one-to-one sessions, and sometimes I, go that extra mile and give you a little bit more time if my schedule allows it. So, for me, Farouk or any of my students, if they start performing, it does not only make me happy as a business point, saying that it's actually showing results, but also as part of my personal experience, because I know that some of the students, at least that the ones that are actually going or starting this for real, they are getting some benefits out of it, and it's a good experience for me as well. Seeing that people are becoming a little bit successful. Now you've told me, and it's amazing the way this is, because I think you're almost up 4%, right? 3 point something. You've
yes,
told me, and I mean that's huge in terms of percentage. That's huge. Now I know that you started with a smaller account, and we're gonna be talking more about that in terms of that trading journey. But man, 4% in a couple weeks, almost a month, it's great. It's
thank you.
really good if you can continue with that consistency. Of course, this is what you need to work through, right? I mean, you are still starting. You probably are still gonna need some help at some point, and that's why I'm here as well, to further support you. But I mean, that's incredible. Not a lot of people can just start going with a bank. And again, the good thing is that you are doing it in a way uh, that's proper, right? You're not really risking like a lot in terms of
Yeah,
percentage. You're not going like, yeah, all in, and you just got 3%. You are doing it on a smaller scale, on a more consistent scale, which on the long run can make you more consistent profit. So that's great. Now, what I wanted to start kind of this interview so that the audience can know more about you, they can have a real feel of, what an experience through TCE trading is, and how they not necessarily need to know anything about the markets, right? Because
yeah,
my primordial aim is to teach people who are completely new, right? People who don't know anything, and put them on the right track to know about the correct process and doing it the way it should be, right? I'm not trying to sell something
yeah,
that's too good to be true. I'm not trying to tell you your financial freedom, as you know. I'm very realistic, and I tell you, this is what you can do. This is the system, and you have to test your system. So, I mean, just to know more about you, Farouk, what is your background? What did you study? What do you do for a living?
uh-huh.
Just for the people to more or less know.
Yeah, sure. Just to start off, is that I was born in Moscow, and I moved to France when I was at the age of 16. So right now I can consider myself as it's my home, France, but I'm still have some certain linguistic challenges sometimes. Well, it happens. So what happened is that I am a holder of Master of Science degree in advertising and communications. And since my graduation, and I worked in pharmaceutical business, I worked in certain areas like booking.com, and right now I work as a social listening analyst in a communication agency in France.
I mean, and again, that's great, because it's not. I mean, maybe you related to the pharmaceutical markets, and maybe you have an overall knowledge, from your experience. But it's something I think is very cool, is that it doesn't really matter what you're doing, what you studied. Everyone can find something on the markets,
Mm.
right? In terms of long-term
Yeah, exactly.
investments, or in terms of you trying to make a little, a secondary income, which is great. It doesn't really matter your background, as long as you want to do a little bit more instead of just going and watching Netflix all day. Maybe put that amount of time into learning a new skill, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's great. So tell me, why were you interested in learning how to trade, anyways?
I think it started, the first spike would be, well, I'll be very honest, it came from Hollywood. So I remember I was watching that movie called Limitless, where this guy actually takes the certain pharmaceutical and becomes quite clever and
Yeah, I
intelligent.
remember that one.
And the first thing what he did, he get some money, and then he started stock trading, and he increased his portfolio and became quite important in the town. That was my first quite. It was the first time when I thought maybe I should look into it, but I didn't have actually nobody who I knew in my network who knew what was trading really, and I could not actually ask anyone about those things. And I'm kind of person, I like to speak to people, like to communicate. Therefore, reading on internet about it, I wouldn't even trust those texts or words written. So I kind of forgot about it. Fast forwarding the story, we met in Lille a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah, around that time.
And I remember the time when we were speaking about side hustle, and I asked you what were you doing as a side hustle if you had some, and you told me that you were a trader, a crypto trader. And back in the day, I was a part of this FOMO, fear of missing out, and I went into buying some Litecoins, and I asked you, "Oh wow, that's interesting. Could you like explain me about it?" And you start explaining me, and you just mentioned that you would like to build a course about it and teach others how to trade. So I think that was the moment where I said that I would like to actually, since we were friends and I could ask you many questions, and I did, I told myself that would be a good opportunity for me to learn new skills and actually try myself in this kind of business.
Yeah, and also what I said in one of the previous episodes, it's very funny. I really started this project, TC trading, this year, right? And
Yeah.
you were one of the first students, and at least for me, it's kind of like amazing the evolution, because when we started, I really just had a PowerPoint. I don't know if you remember, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
one-to-one session,
Yeah.
but just one PowerPoint, right?
One PowerPoint. Yeah.
And right now, the infrastructure of the web page, the amount of video content that I have, the templates, the tools, it's really growing into a full-fledged course that, in my opinion, I have seen other firms, other businesses offering something similar, and it's really competing against them in a one-to-one on information. And as you said,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you don't trust businesses or advertisements that, because I mean, this is something that I speak a lot in TC trading, is how a lot of people are trying to scam or are trying to get advantage of telling you, hey, you can make a lot of money. So you get excited, you get this FOMO, fear of missing out, and you are saying, okay, let's do it, just because in your mind is like, yeah, I'm gonna get my financial freedom in one day or in 1 week or in 1 month, whatever it is. So they're selling these too good to be true products, and people are falling for it. So this is kind of like my response, because at one point I was like, I might as well just continue doing my own thing. But I saw that a lot of friends, a lot of people around me, they needed to learn, or they wanted to learn. And I mean, it was impossible for me to tell them, hey, well, start just watching these videos on YouTube, because I did that and I failed because I didn't have mentorship. And it was impossible for me to tell them, hey, well, go into this course, because I didn't go through that experience. And I know that it's difficult to know something that's actually true to itself. So that's why I started TC trading, really to go into an honest approach, transparent. This is what it is. If you want to be successful, you need to hustle. You need to work on it. You need to spend hours on back testing. You need to do your demo. You need to know the background theory and all that. So I think that's something that differentiates at the very least TC trading. Now, in terms, also what I wanted to do in this kind of podcast, which again, you always in every other web page of people offering courses, people offering strategies and so on, you always see testimonials. I also have written testimonials in my web page, and sometimes you have videos, right, of people, which seems very sketch. And this is why I wanted to do this episode, because I want to bring the real deal. I want to bring the conversation, right? We are not only just filming a video and saying, hey, these are our thoughts. This is mostly unscripted in terms of what we're actually saying, our opinion, what
Yeah.
we think, which I think that's what this industry is missing, right? This industry is very focused on, this is it, everything's perfect, everything's corporate, marketed, they promise a lot of things, but there's not a lot of human interaction. Now, so this is kind of like a very good testimonial kind of thing where you can really, give your thoughts. Your honest thoughts. For the people to really listen to them. So, I mean, you already told me more or less what you decided to go with TC trading. You were always curious. I think a lot of people, even a lot of my friends, were curious also about trading, about the markets, and so on. Well, tell me, what do you think about the AB trading course in general?
In general, I think it was quite a success in my personal case. I remember when actually I started studying with you when the lockdown happened in France. I had a lot of free time. Everyone had a lot of free time, and I just decided to use it more in terms of learning things. So when we started, I asked you. I think I asked you your question: do you have to be good in math? And you told me, no, you will be fine, because I was quite worried about it. And the way you explain things made me think that I actually can do it. I saw the way it was structured. It was that we would learn certain things, not too much, not too less, just enough amount just to go home, finish the session and practice on my own with the tools we had. I used TradingView in order to look at the shapes of the price action and to figure out what was going to happen next. So it was quite efficient in terms of the way the course was structured. Not too much information, not too low, not a lot of overwhelming information which would actually take you off the course. Just exactly what you need to know and to practice. That's how would I put it together.
Yeah, and also, you were one of the first ones, so a lot of the, let's say, modifications or evolution of the course was really because of you, because of the other students who were first, that I continue improve, because now I have a really structured, let's call it lecture breakdown, where you said, it's really made so that you can learn a certain amount in a certain period of time, and it's kind of like hand holding you, and throughout the course it's releasing that hand little by little, right? So that you start doing your own things. At first it's your own homework, then we go have some feedback, then you start doing a kind of back testing, which is really more on your own. It's continue working, then you are working on demo accounts, which is all on you, and if you need more support, then I'm there for you. And also another thing that I wanted to highlight is that when we started, I only had basically one product, which was the course, but I would give it to you because I didn't have videos or anything. It was basically one-to-one, me going through the course, me going through some examples. You have the homework, and then I review it. Now, the thing that I found very interesting is that I have everything that I teach online, in online videos, but I can also, I also do this kind of mentorship on top, right? So instead of me going through the lecture notes with you, you can go through the videos, and then we can add up that extra session, which means that, if you have more questions, if you have a specific, problems with your trading, I can really help you in that sense. And we have several mentorship sessions. Even you decided to go the extra mile, and after you finish the course, having some extra ones, just to nail some key concepts to really start trading. So in terms of that, there is kind of like with TC Trade, you can go directly just having that course if you want, just the videos. But I don't really think that's where the value is. And this is what I want to ask you. What do you think about the mentorship program? Because you really had a hybrid course from the beginning, which means that I was giving you the course, and also if you have questions, I could give you the feedback right there on the spot, right? And also after you had the homework,
Yes.
we had some chance to review that. So what do you think about the mentorship?
Well, I'll give you a live example. So when we finished the course, I took some time to do the back testing in order to understand if my strategy actually was working. And when the time came to realize that my strategy was fine, I was ready to trade, I went into the platform. I'm allowed to say names of platforms here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, well, I signed up for Binance. And the problem which I realized that I could not execute. I knew exactly what to do in my head, but I didn't know the technical uh, functionalities of the platform in order to execute the trade, in order to enter the market, in order to put a stop loss and take profit, or do that in trade management. Therefore, I used your mentorship sessions in order to adjust in order to learn exactly what I needed. I gave you, if you remember, I sent you an email explaining exactly what I need to know in order to trade, and you just prepared the 2 sessions for me. And right now, I'm actually trading because of that, successfully trading because of that. I can execute exactly what I need to execute.
Yeah, and I remember when you told me that, because I also started trading on Binance for my professional account, and it's very interesting because I remember that I had some questions regarding a stop limit, if you remember. So I did
Yeah,
as well on YouTube and other videos, and no one really explained what was happening with the orders, which is something that I
exactly.
told you, right? Is that, yeah, you can watch a lot of videos, but they're not really telling you exactly how it works. They tell you what to do,
Yes.
but they don't tell you exactly how it works. So that's also where I think mentorship is very important, because it's very tailored, and your experience from the other students is completely different. uh, because this is the way I think education should go. Education should be more tailored towards yourself, right? If you are learning faster than others, if you are better at maths, or you are not, you need to focus on specific topics. For instance, I remember for you, when we started looking at risk management and all these risk reward ratios and a way to calculate potential profits and losses, at some point, you were a little bit mixed in there, but we ended up enforcing that. So now that you
Hmm.
exactly know how much you are risking, right? I mean,
Yes.
every student's experience is different. There's others that try to focus more on automation, and they already understand it. Maybe they had a more mathematical slash engineering oriented background, so they didn't have as much trouble in this area, but they perhaps had trouble in other areas. So this is why I'm really pushing forward into TC trading, which is personal experience, one-to-one interactions. That's where the real value is. Now, another thing that I want to ask you, now that you have completed the course, you are trading for real. If you were to say, what were the top 3 things that you enjoy about the course, or that you like the most about the course?
The first thing I would like to mention to highlight about the TCE course is that it's flexible. It's quite important because, I mean, some people like me, they work, and therefore sometimes it happens that we don't have enough time after work to grasp new information. What I really appreciated is that actually I could literally schedule with you on the weekends when I'm free and just learn in on my way without any rush and take the information. It was a 1 hour session, if I remember, and I would just be relaxed and fresh in my mind in order to grasp new information. So that would be the first thing. The second thing would be, I think, the personalized approach you applied towards my as me as a student, because I would ask you. I remember I would ask you specific questions, and you would prepare the answers for them for the next session. That's quite interesting because that's what education should be about. It should be personalized, and it should be tailored for the needs of the students. It's not a basic training. It's in army. It's everything is tailored, and it
Yeah,
should answer specific needs of the student. And I would also say that the clarity of information is important, and the AB course had it. It was very clear from the beginning. Exactly, I was grasping exactly what I needed to grasp in order to execute certain things to understand the price action, to see if it's a divergence, if it's bullish or bearish divergence, and so on. It was clear. So I would like to highlight 3 things. It's flexibility, personalized approach, and the clarity of the information given.
Thank you for the feedback. And I think that last part that you mentioned, is very important. And that's almost what differentiates, going free online. You can go to YouTube, of course. This is something I said in previous podcasts. There's nothing wrong in learning for free, entirely for free. But you're going to waste a lot of time in deciphering what's good and what's wrong. I remember one time you sent me this video and you say, hey, why don't you take a look at this? And it was this
Mm-hmm.
guy offering this kind of a strategy, and he said, "Yeah, it's 99% or 90%, some crazy
Yes, yes.
like that,
I
right?"
still remember this guy. I still remember him.
Yeah, and I mean, again, and maybe it looks good the way that they show it, and I could always make it so that whatever I'm doing shows in the best possible way. But where's the back testing? Where's the proof, right? And this is
Yeah.
something that I really push in here. It's, it's honest and transparent, and you want to know where the proof is. And in a lot of videos in YouTube as well, that I go into different strategies and so on, when the person or the people say, "Hey, it's 90% true, you can get a lot of money." Okay, where's your back test to testify to that? No,
Yes.
there's no standard. There's no standard whatsoever on the different ways that people are marketing. And this is also what I want to do with TC trading. Is putting the standard of trading in there as well. Or to, at the very least, make it very clear. If you want to sell a strategy, if you want to sell kind of an idea or teach others, you need to have a standard in terms of, okay, this is your strategy, this is your back test, this is how it has performed, and this is potentially your track record, right, for that specific strategy or for your trading. Now, usually with these kind of guest interviews that I have, it's very common. I mean, this is mainly for the listeners, right? It's very common for me to have kind of like a small script in terms of, because you don't want to deviate. What I told you is that you don't want to start talking about trading and then end up talking about dinosaurs, right? You have kind of like a
Yeah.
structure. But what we saying here is not really scripted, right? It's really our personal kind of opinions or what we are thinking at the moment. Now, something that I want to throw you off a little bit. Now, I know that you were one of the first ones in terms of having the AB trading course. So the program has evolved a lot from there. I mean, you still have access to the newer content, you still have access
Yeah.
to everything. But in terms of feedback, if you could say something like, where can I improve? Because I think that helps me, as a business person to make my business better. And I also
Yes.
really want to nail the human part of trading and education, right? Because wherever you go, companies are gonna show themselves as being perfect. They're gonna be like, "Yeah, we're the company. This is our policy. We're corporate. No, politics, whatever."
Yes. 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 Yes.
For me, that might sell, but that doesn't make sense if you really really want to learn. So I want to
Mm.
take feedback and put me on the hot seat as well in this term, so that gain people trust. Because this, for me, this is it. This is a very good, well structured course that I've done. I put so many hours, and there's still more to do. So I mean, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
feedback, what do you think?
I think, well, since I started trading with real money, I can point out one thing. I had um, 10 trades in total so far, and two of them were lost trades where I lost money. I think you could add more information regarding psychology and how to deal with losses, how to act in order to bring yourself back on the right
Yeah,
line of towards the winning. Because I think it's like a spiral. Once you make a mistake, you try to catch up on it, and you
yeah,
make other stupid mistakes, and it goes on until
definitely,
you
definitely.
uh, damaged. So I think maybe focus more on psychology and teach, or at least prepare the future traders, and that tell them that you will lose money. Everyone loses money. I think it's. I mean, there shouldn't be anyone there who just traded without any loss. It's impossible. But just to teach them what to do if you are in loss, and how to do certain exercise, maybe advise them what to do in order to stop, take a break, look at it, and come back and have
Yeah.
a clear mind and trade
Yeah,
properly.
what you're saying is very interesting, and I totally agree. In terms of losses and how you come up, how you get back after you do them. I personally talked before, and even now, right now, I'm in a drawdown in one of my accounts. So it is tough, and this is what I told you before, that if you have a loss and then you don't think, or you don't have a plan, and you just get rid of your stop loss, then that can really spiral down. you know something that it's definitely something that I think because we have a module on trading psychology, right, where you understand kind of like let's say the basics, or at least the theory. And this is why it's super important. And I'm going to be discussing it probably in the next podcast episode, or I'm going to be talking more about demo accounts. So it's very important not only to practice and do the back test, right? Because a lot of the learning really happens after you are starting trading live account. And this is also, for the listeners, not only for yourself, because what you say is true. It's very, I mean, probably what I can do is kind of like do a post course or a post experience where you are actually trading, and the most frequent questions that you may have, and so on. Because also the idea is that, with ongoing mentorship, I mean, you can always reach me, and with this, we have more interactions. Is that you start kind of these questions, hey, I've been having some losing trades. I feel maybe not depressed, but I feel down. I feel unmotivated with trading and so on. These are things that we continue with the mentorship, right? I think that main point with a course is to put you on your feet, teach you what you need to do in terms of the process, so that, I mean, even the strategies that you use are very different from the ones I use, right? Because you've learned what to take, what you like, you mix and match, and you create your own thing, and then you test it. I mean, if it works, you continue. What you're saying is completely right. I think, it's also part of the ongoing mentorship as well. I mean, you can't expect, I think, to just, get over with any course and then be like, yeah, that's it, and this is something I mentioned also in the next episode that I'm scheduling, is that if someone tells you that this is the last course that you need, you don't need to learn anything else, you're going to be rich from here, they're probably bullshitting you, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
And
because,
I think, like, even if we take a step back from trading, you and I, we like martial arts. You trained as well, and I think you will agree that you learn all your life, right? It doesn't matter, like,
exactly.
You got the belt and you good. No, it's just the beginning. You're still learning every day.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And you keep continue learning. So even if you finish a course, that doesn't take the fact that you can't adapt to the market, because the markets are always evolving. So you have to to evolve yourself, to learn more. There's a whole list of recommended reading. I don't know if you have gone through. I don't think you have gone through all of them, because there's a lot of books in there. But there's a lot that, as at least in the mentor's perspective, is that what I want to teach the students is to be able to start being self-sustainable, right? To be able to start taking their own decisions, which is something that I think that you are in there, because you know that if you need more help, you can come back. You also know that you can go into different sources and so on, and hopefully you will be also reading some of the other recommended reading. But this is it, continuous learning. There's nothing, I mean, even if you are a doctor, an engineer, it's not like you get your degree and that's it, right? You continue getting more I don't know, licenses.
Apprenticeship. Yeah, it's like
You get more
apprenticeship. You
experience,
learn.
diplomas, etc., etc. So I mean, that's great. What you said, it's on point, right?
And also, I can add that the TCE trading, another thing which we haven't spoken about is that there is a community behind it. I'm not the only student, and there are people, and we're still connected to each other. We have our chat groups, and we have the channels of communications. And I know that the other traders who are into, let's call it, the game right now, I can still talk to them, and we can actually share ideas and comfort each other, or even bring something new, like, oh, I saw this new strategy, let's look at it together, guys. And well, there is a community, and I know that I'm not the only trader out there. I know that I can speak to others right now as with the ease, and it's good. It's good. It's a good feeling that you can always share with people who are enthusiastic about a certain subject like trading.
Yeah, and more are joining, right? That's also why I'm focusing a little bit more on Discord right now, so that people can talk in there. Again, just as you can give your experience, and this is also kind of like that for the rest of the people who are not in the course, right? Giving the word out, giving your thoughts about this in a way that's really not uncensored. I mean, if you say good things, if you give me feedback, I'll put it there, because that's a reality. It's part of good business
Mm-hmm.
practices, being honest and transparent. Now,
Yeah.
more or less, to finish kind of this podcast episode, I wanted to do, for the listeners as well, going into a topic which is the trading journey, or I call it the trading journey. And I mean, you are already aware of it. Maybe when we started, I told you, first you learn that background theory, then you go into, technical analysis, risk management, trade psychology, then you start doing back testing, then, you start doing demo, and then you go for real. I don't know if you remember that I told you that 90% of the traders lose 90% of their money in the first 90 days of trading, meaning that, if you are able to survive, and this is the point, this is the hot spot for you, because if you're able to really survive in the market for 90 days without blowing your account, you know that you're on the right track. Even if
Awesome.
you maybe if you make a lot of profits, maybe if you don't, but you're on the right track, because a lot of the people blow their accounts before the time frame. So that's that. I mean, that's the next challenge, I would say, at least for you. So I
Mm-hmm.
put myself
Mm-hmm.
in the hot seat now. You're on the hot seat in terms of this challenge. Uh, but I mean, this is the entire process again. Now, in terms, when you start course education again with TC trading, I hope you remember it. Now it's on online videos, but it's going through technical analysis, going through the indicators, going through the different patterns, and then doing homework from it. I think you referred it in terms of feedback, which was very good. That's where the learning comes. I don't know if you would agree on this. When,
Yes,
because I
definitely.
remember, I mean, maybe it's not only you, but a lot of the other students, they would send me some homework, and I would really give you some feedback. I will tell you, okay, you're going on the right track, but this is not how I would do it, and I will show you how I would do it, so that you kind of like have like this best practice. So I mean, that's the first step for you guys who are listening. It's kind of like do the education, focus on this. The next step is really back testing, right? Which is something that I don't remember exactly what if you were right on track in the beginning. I don't remember, in terms of back testing, because I
Uh,
know that some students, they were struggling with the back testing, and they were kind of like losing their mind, because they were like, oh, I spent a lot on this, and then it's not working out, and they were freaking
oh
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a part of them. At the beginning, I was losing my mind with one strategy. I remember it was the stochastic RSI strategy,
Yeah,
and actually, it's the strategy with which I'm trading right now. So the one I didn't like figure like worked for me, and I spent so much time on it. But at the beginning, I was so lost. I didn't know how to enter, how to exit, when, how to. But I had to stick to it. I think through the pain, just
yeah.
do it,
I
do it,
mean,
do
but
it.
it's, for me, it's interesting, the evolution, because yeah, you freak out. I mean, and I did say to a lot of you guys, hey, you're just starting. This is just your first step into back testing and going through
Yeah.
it. It's normal that I mean, not fail, but that you have a lot of of losing trades in the back testing, because
Yeah.
it's the first time that you observe the market. And this is where the mentorship came in again really hard, right? Because I
Yes.
something that I ask you is to always take a snapshot of every single one of your trades, so that I can go back. We can see, okay, what were your thoughts? Okay, and I could give you some feedback based on my experience. I mean, for me, it's funny, because you represent that growth, and I'm also proud in that respect, because on a personal level and on a trading perspective level, you're showing that progression, and I think that's what people should be looking forward to, is progressing, getting better and getting smarter, and improving
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
skills. Apart from back testing, then it's demo account, which I think you started doing a little bit on hand with the back testing, right? And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
also why I believe you started going on demo, because I mean, going on real life, because this is another topic that I will discuss later on. But being on demo for too long might also hamper your trading, right? You want to start real live account to really get the experience that you said, that on your
Mm-hmm.
feedback, in terms of you need to know how it feels to lose money, how you get back up from there. But
Definitely.
the only real way to know that is for you exposing your money, right? For you going into live. There's no way that I can potentially do a course based on demo or whatever and tell you this is what you're gonna be feeling and this is how you should get back until you really experience it. That's why I always say after demo account, even if it's for maybe for 1 month, it's kind of like a standard. Even if you want more, at the very least, do that transition into real life, even if it's with a small amount that you are
Yes, definitely.
comfortable to lose, because this is where the real kind of next step in learning comes through. And you nail it again, because the next thing is really working on the psychology. It's really you being like, I'm on a drawdown, I don't know what to do, I make this mistake, from 1% risk I got 5%, and then that's where we work the second part, which is where you learn how to be a real successful trader. Now you know the strategy, you know what you need to do. Now these are kind of like secondary or additional things that you're gonna be learning. You're gonna be becoming better at experience. It's normal. I mean, I blew accounts before, and I haven't heard any successful trader that is like, hey, I've never lost money. As you said, they
Yes, yes, yes.
always lose money,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of learning in losing money. This is kind of like the cost of education as well, right? This is why you don't want to go with $100,000, $10,000 right on the get-go, right? You want to have that progression, and I think it's key. So in terms of the time frame overall, even for listeners, I would say it's from 3 to 6 months. And I think even for you, we were almost right on target, because we started, I think, around March or something.
Yeah, yeah. It was I think it was like end of March when we started, and now September where I started trading with real money. So I think, yeah, you are right about the time frame.
Yeah. Well, Farouk, it was a pleasure having you here. I think we
Thank you, me.
discussed a
Thank
lot of
you.
good topics, the feedback you gave me, and also, just talking about your experience in a real life kind of uh, scenario where we can actually start bringing a conversation of what's actually happening inside. That's something that I think a lot of companies are missing, because in their testimonials you can't really hear the thoughts of the people. Yeah, you see a video, a scripted video, you see what they've written, which, I mean, you can also see it in TC trading. But these conversations are what are really the most important part of trusting someone, right? It's one-to-one interactions. It's really putting yourself in there, talking about your ideas, so that people know how you think. I think that's super important. But Farouk, again, thank you very much for joining me. So, in any case, traders and listeners, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the TCE Trading Podcast. Trading can be overwhelming at first, but it's not impossible. Farouk will tell you that as well. With TCE Trading, you can learn how to do it properly and have a secondary income or growth in your savings. Thank you, Farouk, again for joining me today. I hope that if people have questions regarding the course and what I have to offer, they will now have more information to make their decision. No,
Sure. Thank you very much, Patrick.
no
Again.
problem. Again, this is coming back to what I said, but I'm all about honesty. I'm all about transparency in regards to what I have to offer, and I want to change this industry. And I think having this good word of mouth is the best approach, right? You don't want to just go and all marketing and say, "Hey, this is the best thing." You really want this conversation so that people really know what's up. So, guys, if you're interested in learning how to trade, be sure to check out my webpage at www.tctrading.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.